All right, here we are. I'm here with Aaron from Fast Pinball. Mate,
hello.
Always a pleasure.
Dude, this is awesome. Like, you become one of the people I seek out at the show because that makes it a real show.
That's
it's
nice,
not just
man.
random people you see in pinball all over the place now. It makes it a show.
Well, do you know
so
what?
I'm glad to hear.
This is like the first, this is my fourth show now. So
Okay.
I've done 2 TPFs and this is my second expo.
Okay.
And I think this is the first time that I've actually felt like I'm just walking around just seeing all my friends, you know?
That's the part I think that brings the most joy, especially with the homebrew community and stuff like that. Is like, these are all friends we talk on the daily basis, and all over the world, all walks of life, that kind of thing. And so getting here, it is true. It's like I've been, you know, a plug for the Pinball people. Okay, have you seen that game over there, the all white cabinet?
Yeah.
All our lips are cracked as hell. We've been trying to get over there. Everybody's walking over there, interrupted along the way, and then we get over there and they're gone for the day. So a pack of us saw we had people at the Chicago gaming booth. We're keeping an eye out. We got the text messages they were there. We all made the beeline. So
good work, man.
that's one of the few times we actually get away from the homebrew booth here. So
I came to see your seminar the other day. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah,
it was yesterday.
How did it sound?
It was great, man.
I mean, I'm up there on stage and it feels like a clown car racing out of control, and I'm hoping I don't kill anybody.
You've got a lot of personalities to manage, don't you? Let's just put it that way.
It's a good time. I mean, like those are I'd say the advantage of getting everybody together is it inspires, you know, and everybody's excited. But I think also too, some people are a little shy about sharing what they do.
Of course.
I want everybody here to know how cool, how kind, how smart, how like eager the people are here to create good pinball, you know?
I thought what was interesting was, you know, there's a couple of people who were punters essentially like a year or so ago, and they came to you and said, how viable is it for us to create a homebrew game? Now they're up on stage.
That was Jeffrey Jones and Lisa Sue, and they came out to the show 2 years ago from this expo, and they said, we heard you were coming, we want to learn what it takes to make some homebrew games, and they came back and forth, asked questions, eventually they came back and said, we're going to sell one of our games, so we're going to do this. And it has been so awesome watching her go from, and she said this on stage, never coded before in her life.
I love that story.
Makes sure that everybody knows that. I'm like, you can't tell people you're not a coder anymore. You've coded more pinball machines than I have now. Like, that's impressive.
I was asking her a little bit about it because I was over at their yesterday. And so I was like, MPF? And she's like, yes. And I was like, tell me about that. You know? And just talking about, like, you know, some of the hurdles that she had to overcome, and the technical issues. I mean, she was just talking like a coder. You know?
And we tell people, like, the advice I give is, like, be clear with your questions, okay? So I say, pretend like you've got the person's attention that has the answer to what you're asking. You've got them for 5 minutes. So be clear, get some log files, define what you tried, when it worked, when it didn't work, and from there, you'll get the answers. And now when you see the new people jumping in and excited to help the newer people, that's it paying forward. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of about the community that we have here.
And it's, you know, it's a credit to you and everybody else that has been created. You know, I know that some of the guys manage Facebook groups and things like that, don't they? So
Jake Danzig's up to, like he said, we were talking almost like 200 away from 10,000 people that are paying attention to what's going on in pinball. That's amazing.
And look, this space is massive.
This is incredible. We've been working with the Marcos crew on extending this whole Pin DevCon idea. The idea of, like, this is people getting together, building and creating pinball. Like, all the best things that it takes to do this stuff are highlighted in a way that shows it's not just a couple random games stuck in a corner somewhere, you know? And I think that that's one of the things that there's a certain amount of prestige by being able to be here, being shoulder to shoulder with some of these full dress games, but with the rawness of some of these whitewoods and stuff. Like, it's
in all various states of
I know. And we have to tell people, like, don't be intimidated by some of these full dress art packages. We all get, you know, decent advantage to these high format or large format printers and stuff. But really, like, seeing the games show up that are just whitewood stage, like Moog's Turbo Time game here. It's got like an engine block running on a stepper motor that locks balls in. I mean, it's incredible. And watching him build through all that, like, it's just been, it's wild. I mean,
the biggest buzz is like seeing what people come up with platforms and how they use them to fulfill their dreams.
Oh, it is. And I mean, by the time I get a chance to play, I mean, it was like watching people stand and play these games, and I'm wandering around trying to get a chance at it. I only got to get through, I think I've gotten through all the games now, but it was like late last night. And as the place was closing down, you had Brian's like Borderlands 2 game over here with the play field that moves all around. Of course, I'm like, can we open it up? I want to see what's inside of this game. And oh my God, it's like,
let's take a walk around.
Yeah, let's go.
And you talk me through some.
All right. So here's the Overwatch game. So this is done by Mike and his sons. And so this was a story that we got to see the actual, like, you know, everybody wants to collaborate with their kids, show them how to do cool things, but like, this is literally the byproduct of that, you know. I think these kids are here right now, right? This is family, right?
Amazing.
Okay.
Sorry, where's son? See, he wants to take.
Okay, so I'm Aaron Davis. We do the Fast Pinball stuff, and so I've gotten to know your dad. Like, this is incredible, and he raves about you guys and the fact that you actually work together. Everybody wants their kids to get into building pinball, and you guys are actually doing it. So that's incredible. This game is awesome.
Thank you.
I got to sit here and shoot it with him standing over my shoulder, giving me instructions on stuff. So, dude, I wish you guys could have been here and up on stage with us yesterday. But I mean, dude, you got school or something? I heard. Like, come on, you know. But dude, it's so. But seriously, this is really great. I mean, like I said, like everybody wants their kids to work on projects with them. You guys are doing it, so we're probably going to have parents reaching out to you and find ways to inspire their own kids to like get up off the couch, get off their phone, and actually build pinball. So there we go. This is fantastic. We got to meet in real time. So good job. Very, very cool.
Thank you.
All right, let's see what else we got. Okay, so let's check this one out here. So this is Tattoo Mystique. This was created by Brian Cox. This is the first game that was running the Mission Pinball framework and the Fast Pinball hardware at a pinball show. So now this is the reimagination of that original game that had been beat to hell and transported all over the place. So this was his fresh take on it. So all of this artwork he hand placed as decals all over this, and then clear coated the whole piece. But he calls himself a pinball artist. The idea that this is the canvas, that he wants to create this aesthetic that really, I don't know, plays homage to a certain era. So this was done in like the Navy style tattoo. And the whitewood playfield is meant to, it's not a lazy art package, it's done to look like the skin that was tattooed on. So the art package and everything like that was incredible. It does a little trick where there's the ball through certain shots changes between a black ball and a gold ball. So as you shoot in this way, the ball changes color coming out the other side. So, I mean, I love those little things that like add to the narrative and make you kind of go, what am I looking at here, you know?
Like, that's what I find a lot about when I play these homebrew games. It's like, that's never been done before.
Oh, no.
Well, that's never been done before.
Yeah.
And more often than not, every single game, that will be one of those things.
Yeah, and you'll find, well, and I think so, and you'll find the little simple things that you love. Like, one of my favorite things about this game is like this little bounce that if it goes out this left out lane, it bounces back in. I mean, just come on, that's fun.
Incentivizing.
Oh yeah, it's super fun. Yeah. Okay, let's check out Led Zeppelin here. So this is Steve Condris. He has a YouTube channel called The Pinball Room. And so he tells a story about how he started this game because he's like, Led Zeppelin, I want to do a music pin. I think it'd be really great. Nobody's made a Led Zeppelin pin. Yep. Well, then Stern made a Led Zeppelin pin. So, but here's the thing. Like Steve's approach with this was like, I put him in the category of starting with an idea mech. That mech that he made sure he wanted to exist. So in this case, it was the literal stairway to heaven, you know. So this mechanism, you know, and he tells people he's not a mechanical engineer, but I'm like, I think you kind of are at some point when you can build something like this that actually grabs the ball, stacks it up, stores it, and creates a game experience. So here it is with an earth magnet holding it on the step. So as it's going to move on, you're going to clear that drop target. It's going to move up again. You're going to add another. So see, we appreciate you help us navigate this whole story here. So as you continue to add and fill all the staircases, it's eventually going to dump everything out to the top there and create a crazy multi-ball. So. Super cool. So this was actually one of the games that, so we drove out a trailer from the Northwest, from the Seattle area, bringing homebrew games from up there. But then we picked up a couple more down in the Southern California, or like Santa Clara, and then Monterey, California. When we saw the navigation was going to get us through Salt Lake City, we figured, well, Steve is there, and he wasn't going to come to the show then. Yeah. And I said, if I picked your game up, could you fly in? And he's like, I'll be there. So we rolled up to his house, I think it was like 1 in the morning, with a trailer, got the game in there, and carried on. Drove the rest of the way to Expo, you know? So, all right, let's check out Borderlands here.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
So this is the game that we were just talking about. Like right now, it's moving around already. So this is the whole playfield moving and changing the depth of the game in ways that you can't do with a playfield that's locked in place. So.
I'm glad we got it there to this guy.
Yeah.
Slide you to the right.
Oh yeah.
You can use that. Sorry.
So I think you just got to shortcut in some of the moves here to see this stuff happening in real time, you know. But I think this is one of the ones too. It's like you get an idea of something you want to accomplish, and the challenge that you have. He'd even described how, like, you know, people have asked like, what's happened to this game since they saw it last, and he said, I've made it transportable. And so the idea of like, how do you fix a cabinet like this in position when you're moving it around if it's free flowing in there? So the design challenges are not just necessarily is it fun to play, but how can this actually be taken on location and experience and stuff like that too.
We're currently seeing you can keep the ball a long life, ball life longer in the 5 years code.
There you go.
37 seconds is the
record. 37 seconds.
All right, so let's check out Lynn's games over here too.
Okay.
So Lynn Manuelian has been doing all sorts of stuff with homebrew, not only just like Pinball 2000 style that he calls Pinball AR, but so he's created the Haunted Cruise game, the Magic Forest, the Frozen game, and then also I can't remember.
Very busy boy out.
Oh, he is. He's in the we call him the rapid fire category, where it's like if you take your eyes off him for a minute, another pinball machine spawns. So this game here, the Christmas Countdown, he actually built over a series of streams, showing how he was modeling it in software, and then actually like turning it into molds for vacuum form ramps. Eventually, the code that runs that stuff, the playfields he was getting cut.
He's a computer game designer by trade, isn't
exactly, mobile gaming and things like that. So he talks about how like he got into like pinball stuff when he started doing a pinball-based mobile game, I believe. And then once you start seeing pinball as an input and output device, as a user experience, your mind starts to race.
Yeah,
so
he obviously just got hooked, didn't he, into the whole ethos.
And I tell people too, it's like he was one of the guys that like was one of the first people I met in pinball when I saw somebody online on Pinside that was doing homebrew pinball machines, and we ended up on the telephone talking like schoolgirls. We were just so, oh my gosh, I think you're so great. No, you are. And then we got to meet finally at these pinball shows, years ago, and now we're buddies.
He's one of the first homebrew guys that I had a chance to have a chat with.
He's OG. He goes way back.
He's a swell guy.
If he was here, he'd be telling you about all the buttery smooth ramp shots he makes, how many times he iterates on that till it matches exactly what he wants it to be.
Okay.
But I mean, what a cool thing to be around, somebody who just keeps wanting to make things better and better and better all the time.
I don't understand where his time comes from, And
I mean, he's got a job and a family. I mean, come on, that's a lot.
Very
okay,
accomplished.
Let's roam on. Like, what else do we want to say? Yeah.
Magic Forest, I played that. Great game.
So he does a score bit integration. I mean, everything. Like, it takes it like all the way, So, all right. Let's walk over here and look at The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yep. So this is really like, Mark and City's in the OG category.
Okay.
So this game, I think, was originally at Expo as a Whitewood, I think it was at the 30th anniversary, 10 years ago. Dude, just play great pinball and we're just going to gossip over your shoulder here. But so this game originally showed up, I think it was about 10 years ago as a Whitewood, and it was just really great. I mean, I'm impressed at the depth of this game. But it was also cool too, that within the community, I remember distinctly there was a time where they were trying to get a mold made for the bathtub. That's the ball lock up there. Yep. And I think it was Mike O'Rourke out in the Portland area, who was like, just give me your dimensions, let me make that for you real quick, carry on with your project. Don't waste time learning how to model that one piece.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times in the homebrew community especially, and I mean in all walks of life, sometimes it's fun to jump out of your tasks and problems, help somebody else out, and then jump back in. And I think there's a lot of inspiration in that too. So. But
yeah, I mean, I remember Nightmare Before Christmas from years and years ago.
Oh, I know.
It was one of the first ones that sort of popped up on my radar in terms of homebrew.
I mean, it was out there with its paper cardboard ramps and all that stuff.
Very famous game.
One of the things we try to do at these shows too is I like to try and capture pictures of the pinball elite, the celebrities out here playing. And I remember there was a point where George Gomez was playing the game, and you can see him standing in the background watching his baby get played. It's super cool.
That's great, isn't it?
Oh, it's awesome.
This goes to show that George's love for pinball too.
Oh yeah, and give some feedback and some suggestions or whatever it is. So okay, we're gonna walk right into the Harry Potter homebrew game here.
Oh, yeah.
This thing is incredible.
Yeah.
So now,
so when I first saw this, the first thing so I think somebody sent it to me and said, look what JJB are working on. And I was like, mate,
there was a lot of confusion.
JJB game.
Oh, I know.
The second thing that jumped out to me was, how the heck is he gonna fit these castles below the glass?
Yeah. And you can see it's this whole custom cabinet. I think he's off at the Pinball Olympics right now, running on a treadmill and playing pinball, something like that. Yeah. But this, for the people watching, the dark in the background, that's a whole LCD screen. So as you're playing this, you're looking off into the skyline behind Hogwarts Castle, and able to see the day and night changes and stuff like that. Be able to work in different effects as different modes and stages of the games progress through what would have been the 7 stories, the 7 books, the films, that kind of thing.
Shootable.
So it is. So he got it here physically physically all the mechanics, all the mechs are hooked up, all the boards are hooked up and things like that. And that was literally like in the last week or so here, finishing that stuff up.
Wow, yeah.
So the next step is really...
been in dev like quite recently, hasn't it?
Well, the interesting thing about this game is like a lot of times I've seen people do a lot of deep modeling with Infusion 360 or SolidWorks, but until the reality of what the physical pinball world kicks in, those projects tend to fizzle out. And so as I saw that this project was still going, I was like, man, I would love to find any way I can to help you achieve this, because this is massive. But what we thought was cool is there's a in-depth use of servo motors, stepper motors, like DC motors and things like that. So being able to get him hooked up on the platform and to make a game like this is badass.
Design of this,
yeah.
I was like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
I know.
And then lo and behold,
yep.
Here it is. Because I think it was this flipper that I saw. That's just
yeah.
in space. It's not
oh, I know.
Anything. But here it is.
But I mean, in this whole upper deck area here, this all lifts up. So it's basically these shots are going to raise and lower on stepper motors here. You can see the drive chain or the drive shafts here.
Yeah.
So that as that entire level moves up and down, you're making these shots at these different. So even though they're staggered like that, as it raises, you'll have this shot available, eventually this shot available, and eventually the. I mean, come on, that's incredible.
That is really cool.
So this was
I
one.
was wondering about that. And
yeah.
That solves that problem.
Well, and I think that was the thing too. We were looking at like I think this one's got like 84 drivers. So I mean that's like coils, magnet controls, DC motor controls, and then 140 some switches I think in it. On top of that, opto switches.
Is this his first game?
This is his first game, yeah. It's just right. It's insane. So the thing that you're gonna realize about this too is the more people hear him talk about it is that he knows the lore so well.
Yeah.
So really, it's not just like, oh, I think it'd be really cool to throw Harry Potter on something and getting it playing. Now this is like so in depth,
yeah.
you know. Right. The Flu network system he created. It's not like some of the ball transporter stuff from like what's that Star Trek Next Generation. Ball goes in one place, comes out the other side, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So again, this is just incredible.
Wow,
so.
man. Very admirable.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Let's go and check out.
How many machines have we got in the area?
So I think that like our goal was to get to like 40 games. So I think it's somewhere probably 38ish or so. I haven't counted it yet.
Record for homebrew section?
This is definitely the most homebrew games that have ever been in the same place at the same time. You know.
Wow.
But so let's check this out. This is Coleman's game.
You're mentioning this.
This is such a strange form factor, and I walked up to it. I'm like, I'm having to embrace and hold this game to be so close to it. And again, I love interesting form factors. You know, years ago I built a portable pinball machine that can fold up and fly on a plane with me. This thing was like right up my alley and stuff like that too. So seeing what gets in people's head and the fact that like being able to build and make stuff come to life more, I don't know, in a more straight book.
Originally it was basically a test bed.
Right. I think that's what he said. Like, yeah. I was learning in real time how some of that stuff came together. You know.
I bet you were. Yeah, it sounded like it was a test bed so that they could. Oh yeah, that was it.
The test fixtures.
Mirror finish.
Oh yeah. So his whole story was talking about like playing with light. So this is one of his other games here, the Greek Gods.
Yeah.
The lighting factor. I just love hearing that unique storyline of like what attracts people to making games. When you start talking about playing with light, I mean that's incredible. Not just blinky lights, but like what does that look like?
Yeah,
so
got a mirror playfield in here. I think this was just originally built to test whether that was resilient enough to stand up to like a week's worth of abuse.
Oh, I know.
Like that. But when it was created, it was so much fun that
at some point anything can be turned into a game if you look at it from the right angle, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's roll down. Ghost in the Shell. This one was done by Ed Owens. Yep. We were trying to determine. I think this might be the oldest or one of the oldest games like in the lineup here. I think that Tattoo Mystique in its original incarnation may have had it beat, and I know that Nightmare Before Christmas was about the same time too.
So I remember this one from, years ago.
So a lot of good stuff. A lot of people get to know these homebrews and come back to experience them year after year. But
Boys is new.
Okay, so Boys Night Out. This is Joel's game here. He actually, the Boys Night Out was based on a film that he did, and then using that as the theme for the pinball machine he made. It's like so many more layers deep, you know. He generated the original IP that it was based on. So this is the full dress version. Yeah, come up and get a look at this, you know. So
his installation that he's made.
Yeah, I mean the back box, the full treatment, you know. So this game originally showed up at the Northwest Pinball Show, or at least according to my experience with it, showed up out of nowhere. And I'd never met Joel before, and I got the chance to like stand there and play the game as he's standing over my shoulder telling me what to shoot at. And I think I had a pretty good game while he was standing there. Yeah. I forced him to do an interview with me and told me that he was uncomfortable with doing those things, but the interview was fantastic.
Joel, I loved your interview, mate. It was an absolute cracker. He's ignoring me.
He's too focused.
Yeah.
So we drove out together from Monterey to bring this game out. That was a great experience. So.
Good, man. Good.
So this game, the first time I played it was just whitewood, like handcrafted. This is the reinterpretation, full art dress, like artwork, color, all that kind of stuff. Really brings it together. So a lot of fun. And if you get a chance to see the interview that I did with Joel at the homebrew speak, you got to check it out. It's so memorable. So memorable. Okay, so Sonic Pinball, everybody recognizes this one. This is the one that got Ryan McQuaid a job at American Pinball. And here he brought it in. He kind of rethemed it as the Spirit Halloween game. So
we got to get these graphics in play here.
I mean, again, a lot of these video game properties are fantastic for pinball. You know, Mark Seiden made his Metroid pinball machine, and that was, again, one of the projects that got him attention, got him hired at Jersey Jack Pinball, and he was the designer responsible for the new Avatar pinball machine, which is just, I mean, it's so incredible to help support these games get made, and then see people literally start careers in making pinball based on that. You know, I'm so proud to even be like in the most minute way associated with these people, like getting to get their start. So it's just badass, like super cool.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Drink my truth.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's check out Pokemon over here.
Good.
So these guys, so Owen, I tried to track him down for the talk that we did, and they were too busy running around somewhere else, probably getting a meal that we all forget to eat when we're at these shows. But this game, you look at it and you're like, this is kind of wide open, is this fun? And you get down and play it, and it's fantastic. Yeah. If you know the Pokemon properties, the sounds, the characters, I mean, it instantly is like familiar. Yeah. So I think this is a game that like, they've brought it a few different times, but it keeps getting better and better and better. And yeah, a lot of space to run around. These big wide open ramps that you hit from different angles and stuff, definitely super enjoyable. But this was, I think, the last game I got to play out of all of these, and it only took the show being almost closed for me to be able to get a chance to get up and play it. So
they've done an amazing job of the dots.
Oh, I know. And you'll need to get a shot too of their whole mode side progression here. I mean, come on. It's not only just the instruction, but it's done aesthetically very, very well.
That is quite a significant rule set.
Seriously, that's not shoot the blinky light and the color of the character, is it? You know?
It is not. It is not.
Okay, so a radical switch. We're to go to the Dukes of Hazzard. So this game, this is from Jake Danzig. It's a rich retheme to a Paragon. And, you know, I mean, Jake does so much for the community. He'll deny it if we were standing here, but
he runs the Facebook page.
Correct, the Strictly Customs Facebook group. Yep. And he does so much to make sure that everybody knows about any of these homebrew projects that he ever sees, you know. And I like to tell people that, like, I think I'm aware of every project that's going on, but there'll be stuff that pops up in here from a project from 5 years ago that I totally missed. Yep. And what a great way to show how deep the heritage is in the homebrew pinball creation community. But one of the things I do want to say about this game too is I know that Jake was having some software problems when he got here. Yep. And Alex Labosco, who was down here, flew in just to hang out and offer software support at a pinball show, which is insane. Yeah. I mean, working on pinball machines at a show is awful. Yeah. Working on software in a loud room like that is even worse.
I'm not even sure I could manage that even if I wanted to.
You don't want to go there. Yeah. And I think that Jake was so appreciative of his willingness to jump in and lend a hand. That's incredible. So I mean, that's just showing the community it's not about like building the games, but we want everybody's games to look as great as possible and be playable and transported to shows. I mean, it takes a village, and the whole village getting around loves to stand around and play the games when they're all here.
It's a beauty, man.
They did such a great job.
Absolutely beautiful.
All right, let's roll over this way.
Yeah.
So this is Turbo Time. This is by, I'm going to say Moogly Moog put this one together, but check this out right here. This engine block designed to lock balls. That's going to lock 8 balls in it. And eventually it moves them like pistons in the process of ejecting those balls out in the playfield. Like, it was just fantastic. But again, this is a lot like Steve Condris' Stairway to Heaven. It's that central mech. That was the thing he wanted to see exist, and that's what that is there. Then everything else around it, all the street cones and stuff like that, you know, popping up as you're hitting targets. But what we love to see too is like the line drawn idea stuff that shows up on these games. And usually it's a Sharpie, but this guy went with blue ballpoint pen. You know, a different take.
Different, I wonder how many hours it took him to get that right.
You know, I don't know exactly. I mean, it was one of those things I remember like a few weeks ago, like, you know, he's using one of our new stepper motor boards. And, you know, of course we're working out kinks and firmware, and he's patient enough with us to like work that out. But to get on the bleeding edge of like making that stuff move, once it started moving, it was like my design works, you know? So that's super fun.
Brilliant.
So this one's got a lot of ground to move on, but the idea and the passion around the designer, Nick working on this stuff is like, it's going to look great. I've got high hopes.
Yeah.
All right, where are we going to go next? Let's check out.
Saw?
Yeah, let's do Saw. So this is a special booth over here. We've got 2 games that started initially as rethemes of the Whirlwind pinball machine. So the Saw game, I mean, my first experience with this was at the Texas Pinball Festival.
Yep.
And so as we were like trying to find games to fill out the homebrew space, you know, I said like, are there any fast powered games showing up here? And they're like, yeah, Saw's gonna be there. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is incredible. And the depth of the art package, the code experience, even the audio package that Glenn put together, I mean, it created it was incredible. And you know, a side story on this, like, you know, we were down there, the top runners for like, you know, best homebrew down at the Texas Pinball Festival looked like they were going to be Saw or Kyle Smeth's Friday the 13th. And you know, at the end of the show, we usually go through and do interviews one-on-one with all the game designers while they're playing the game. And we were standing there, and Moto was filming it, I'm interviewing him, and somebody comes up and taps Austin on the shoulder and goes, you guys just won best homebrew. And so we go running over to the main stage. His partners on the game were standing up there, and they won the award. So it was one of those reality show moments to have that experience. Now,
that particular show was just one where everybody was absolutely blown away.
It was.
By the quality level. It sort of went from things that were in people's bedrooms to actual legit production-ready games.
And nothing caps that off better than, you know, I mentioned Friday the 13th that Kyle Smith made. That game won Best of Show over the commercially produced games by all the biggest companies. So just an incredible moment for homebrew pinball. And I think that it really... Oh yeah, there's no going back. Now the bar's raised so high, but we're really working hard to make sure people don't feel too intimidated to get in, because everybody who started a homebrew started from cutting wood and bending metal and hooking up wire and writing some code. So Saw is fantastic. So the reverse bear trap mech on the top there that scares the crap out of everybody when that goes off is super cool. They tell the story about when they were down at TPF, how it's got the air pressure tank that's used to clap that closed, and they kept going back to the, I think it was an airsoft gun place to get it recharged, and they're like, what are you guys doing with this thing, you know?
It's like, you don't want to know.
Yeah, definitely.
It won't make any sense.
Definitely a fun experience, but these guys are fantastic. Now this was also a show that they had been playing in tournaments at each of the shows that they go to. This was the first one they decided, you know what, we don't want to play in the tournament because we want to hang out in the homebrew space, because everybody's here. You're standing around, you're connecting with people, you want to be a part of that, you know? And I think that being divided and isolated in the tournament space, where the only time they ended up coming back would be, we got a stuck ball, we got to come back and get this. So just getting to be here and be in the space is something that brings so much joy, and it really gets a chance to share those like kind of serendipitous moments of those fun stories that come up that you never think anybody would be interested in, that you get to share. So let's roll over and check out The Greatest Showman. Okay.
We mentioned them earlier in the interview in regards to, you know, the fact that, you know, a year ago.
No, it was 2 years ago from this show where they came out, they saw that we had Fast Pinball had a booth, and they said, we got some questions. You know, Jeffrey was down to do the physical build, but he was like, I'm not writing code. Lisa Sue kept bringing it up. I keep wanting to make, we want to make this game, we want to make this game. Finally, she's like, okay, I'll write the code. And she's never written code. She'll tell you she's a nurse practitioner. Her hobbies are sewing, and she's busy. And so her dropping in and committing to learn code and watching that whole experience going from literally nothing to she's now programmed more pinball machines than I have. And I'm a kind of a big deal in the homebrew space. Yeah, right. But
I was looking at this game yesterday, you know, to go, okay, this has been done by somebody who's new to coding.
Yes.
And now she's layering video assets.
Yeah.
She's layering text in different areas of the screen. She's updating those things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she's done a significant amount of work.
Yeah.
You know, a significant amount of complicated work.
Yes.
And all the rule-based stuff and all the event-based stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Pinball machines are, you know, they're full of race conditions, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, there's so much that stacks up. And I think that, like, you know, it's funny too, she'll talk about, like, and this is a common vibe when we get together like this, is people go, you know, where's Anthony Van Winkle? Like, where's Mike Becker? Like, I owe those guys drinks.
Yeah.
They've spent many late nights and hours helping me through the projects. I just love hearing people get called out by name as like how do I pay back? And often it's drinks and food and hugs and high fives and like whatever it takes, you know.
Now this is The Greatest Showman.
Yep.
And it's another theme of Whirlwind.
Yes, that's correct.
And I played it yesterday. It's fantastic.
I love the brightness of this art package. Okay, so you don't see a lot of like full gold, yellow, red. I mean, it stands out. You'd see this from across the room. You're like, this is gorgeous, and it really stands out in a tasteful way. I mean, it plays. It's so respectful to the property, and it really makes people walk up and go, I want to know more about this game.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? In a very old school way. They've taken that kind of the era and really ran with it. You know?
Well, I think also too, it's worth mentioning that like, you know, making pinball is hard, but like designing it takes a lot. Now it's not just the aesthetic, it's, you know, the physical build and the geometry that you're creating to make this game. You got to shake that one. There you go.
With the 5 million.
You know, what it takes to do it takes so many different disciplines. So in this case here, suspending the need to design the layout and say I want to focus on telling the story and creating the game experience is a way to take what is a massive amount of disciplines and knocking one of them out of the way so you can focus on telling the story. You know,
it's a really great entry point. Isn't it?
It is.
Want to start out. I spoke to them yesterday that they're already working on their next game.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Which is going to be you might know the theme, but they wouldn't tell me, obviously.
Yeah.
But they said it's another famous movie from the 90s, I think, late the 90s. Family friendly comedy, but everybody knows it. Possibly more in America. That's what I was told.
And I guess I'd say that's the part too that like I love the idea of once people start thinking of properties they love, films they love in a pinball context. It's not unlike adapting a story to or like a book to a stage play. You know, so you take a film and you're adapting it to this theater stage that is a pinball stage, and try and find those ways to like convey those moments in ways that are not just playing video clips. You know, is that using the sound assets? It's using different targets that represent the same stress and challenge that the characters in the film are going through. You know, or the silliness that turns into one of the most memorable scenes. You know, so I love seeing what people do when they take properties they love and they get the chance to pay that homage to it. I guess. You know. So
well, I think we're at the end, aren't we?
Dude, this is fantastic. I mean, I love getting to do these interviews with you. I mean, we're just a bunch of goofballs who love pinball, but it is about getting together.
I'm so proud of you, and I just think it's just such an incredible part of pinball. And it's growing all the time. And you know, every time I come and talk to you, there's just more going on.
Dude, next year will be even bigger. We can't stop now. There's so many more in the wings that are coming up. We're going to need more square footage, longer talk times, like good challenges to have.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thanks so much for taking the time. Bye.